Welcome back. We're about to hit the road, headed to Mundelein, Illinois, to the Roadster shop to pick up the chassis for the Pro Touring Trans Am. So let's get after it. So after a long day of driving, we finally made it to Aurora, Illinois. We are going to stay here with some family that's in town here, and we'll get up tomorrow morning, hit the road again, go a little further north, and go to the Roadster shop and pick up this chassis for the 76 Pro Touring Trans Am. So we made the 1,300 mile plus round trip drive to Mundelein, Illinois, to the Roadster shop to pick up the chassis for the 76 Trans Am that's back here behind me on the trailer. And we didn't get any pictures or video there at their shop. It's just like a no photo policy, and I totally understand that. But a very, very awesome facility. If you ever do any business with the Roadster shop, I really encourage you to go up and see their facility. Shout out to Elvin, our sales guy there that took us through the tour. Me and my dad rode up. Again, just an amazing facility, and to see the work that actually goes into producing one of these chassis is really sharp. So let me show you what's on the trailer. So this is the spec chassis for the 81 Camaro and Trans Am F-body cars. You see a little bit of surface rust there. We got this spec'd out in bare steel because we will be doing a custom paint job on it. So we do have a little bit of surface rust back there on the center section. So let's get this thing unloaded. We'll get it in the shop, and we'll go over everything that we've got and how we spec this particular chassis out. So now that we've got the chassis unloaded, we've got it in here on a dolly in the shop. Let's kind of go over a few things of how we spec this chassis out. Of course, there's some options when you order these. We did opt out to do the front sway bar. Of course, it comes standard with a power rack and pinion. We've got our motor mounts and stuff set up for the motor that we'll be using. Same with the transmission mount. And of course, their transmission mount is very adjustable, and it allows for a 3-inch exhaust clearance there on their cross member. We did the fixed valve coilovers all the way around. We've got the Wilwood spindles out back. We did opt out for the brake line package here as well. Out back, a complete strange 9-inch rear end, all set up to handle the horsepower that we'll be putting in it and the gearing. We did opt for a rear sway bar. It is actually back ordered. They're having some supply chain issues with that. But it's a really, really nice setup, all parallel 4-link. And in these boxes over here is all of our brakes. We did 13-inch bare brakes. We did get the Roadster shop's fuel cell that is set up for the pump and everything that we need to use for the power plant. So just like Christmas morning, I think I'm going to start with the biggest first. I believe this should be our fuel cell. You can see everything is very well packaged up and ready to go. No damage whatsoever. This is an all stainless steel fuel cell. There's a direct bolt in. And as you can see here, it's already set up with our fuel pump, all we need to do is install a sending unit. Really, really well built piece. All the welds look to be in really good shape. And this is one of those things that you could probably take, spend a little bit of time with it, and really polish it out to a mirror finish if you wanted to later on. But all in all, really, really nice, well-built piece. So we know these are going to be my brakes. I think we'll start with this one here next. I guess we have some reading material in case we get a little bored around the shop. So in this box here, this looks to be the universal fuel module controller there for the fuel system. Should have the paperwork. There's a differential gasket there. Should be our paperwork about the chassis here. There is a complete body mount kit here. And on these chassis here, they do have one extra body mount for the rear that you have to install. We have our transmission mount, a little bracket there. Another set of brackets. These are our engine mounts to go onto our engine block and bolt into our chassis. So that's nice, because I thought I was going to have to order those. So that's really great. We can go ahead and move on. These brackets here, I do believe, are for that rear body mount that I talked about there earlier. More body mounts. So this one's for the front. I'm sure this is for the main body and the rear part of the chassis as well. Everything is labeled. These are the parts for our rear sway bar that we're still missing. I understand that. Housing hardware, again, stuff for the rear end that we'll have to complete, and some more bolts for the rear brakes and stuff as well. Everything here is labeled and has part numbers on it. In this book here should have the rest of the assembly instructions, and again, all of our paperwork there on the chassis that we'll keep with the car. Has our customer's name, chassis number. We have chassis number plate here, a couple of decals, and then inside here is the complete assembly manual for the chassis that tells everything that you need to know. If we take it apart to do all of our paint work, we'll have this to be able to put it back together. So again, this is just some of the quality stuff that you're getting with the Roadster shop here. There's really, really well thought out system. So if you caught when we was unboxing all of our parts there from the Roadster shop, we had a fuel control module for our fuel pumps. That might be a little bit of a hint of what kind of power plant we're going to be running. Of course, we're definitely not using the factory 400 that we pulled out, although those were good engines for their day. We need something a little bit more, with a little bit more oomph behind it. So this is what we decided to go with. Bam. This is a 2013 Cadillac CTSV 6.2 LSA factory supercharged engine with a TR6060 6-speed transmission. So we bought this, as you can pretty much already guess by looking at it. We pulled this from a wrecked car. We didn't pull it, we bought it. But this thing, we have all the specs of it. We have video of the engine running before it was pulled. Somebody built a hot little motor here. We've got a set of stainless Kooks long tube headers, full stainless headers there. Looks like we've got some upgraded plug wires There's an updated cam in this engine. Like I said, it should be putting out around a little over 800 horsepower is what it pretty much spec'd out at. Again, a really, really nice piece here. We want to kind of keep it that factory look here. We don't want to change out all the accessory drives. We have all the factory air conditioning compressor down here that's tucked in, the alternator, which we'll check all those, make sure everything's in good working order. But we have all the hoses, everything, all the lines, the electrical, the PCM, everything we need here to put this engine in and with minimal effort get it up and running. So it should be a very, very simple install. I'm not going to say easy because I don't want to jinx myself, but we've had this motor for some time. As soon as we got it in, we went ahead and taped up any ports. It's been in storage here for a couple of months. We went ahead and got it while we was waiting on the chassis. But again, the chassis is built supposedly where everything works with this engine transmission the way that's set up. Of course, on the chassis, their transmission crossmember, the way they design it is it's adjustable for multitude of different engines, whether you're doing an automatic, a 5-speed, 6-speed, whatever you want to use. Same thing with the motor mounts. They have some different options there. Now, this engine, nothing was hurt on it. Like I said, we have video of it running. The only thing that was damaged was the transmission. The rear housing back here at the very back, where the transmission mount bolts up, as you can see there, is broke off. But we do have a brand new rear housing to put on, so that's not an issue there as well. Just a quick glance through the Roadster Shop's paperwork here. This transmission is actually one that we will have to modify the floor just a little bit, which is not an issue because, you know, we put a completely brand new floor in there with no opening for a 4-speed or automatic or anything. So we're going to have to go in there and cut our hole for a shifter to come through. But we do have to do a slight modification there on the tunnel just to give it a little bit of extra clearance, which is one reason we didn't do anything else to the floor other than just get a could go to primer on it. So the next step is we'll get this motor, get the motor mount swapped out from here to the ones that come with our chassis. We'll get those on. We'll get this rear housing swapped out to where we can set this engine and transmission onto the chassis. We'll go ahead and get all of the hubs back on. We really won't put the brakes on until last, but we'll put the hubs on the front to where we can actually put some wheels and tires and actually kind of roll it around a little bit. And then we should be ready to, at that point, set the body down onto this chassis and make sure everything clears, and then we can go ahead and start building out our engine bay, making sure all of our holes are where we need them for wiring, getting some of our plumbing and stuff done there, just kind of getting some ideas on how we're going to be doing some things under the hood, as far as air conditioning lines and power steering lines and that kind of thing. So that's where we're at. A really, really good start here now. We've got some more parts in to work with. Of course, our body is pretty much rust-free. It's still on the rotisserie. The first stage of body work is done. So let's get this car back rolling back forward in the right direction. So as you can see here, we have been busy. We do have this chassis, the wheels and tires back on it, so we mounted the hubs on the front spindles. We did have to install the studs for that. We've got the motor and transmission setting into place, and things didn't quite go quite as like I had hoped for them to. So on the LSA, when we went to put in the motor mounts that came with our chassis, the motor mount and the air conditioning compressor was kind of fighting for the same space here on the passenger side. So we went ahead and removed the air conditioning compressor to get it out of the way. On the driver side, once we come over and drop the engine down in, the alternator was really, really kind of close here and actually kind of hitting this one line on our power steering rack. And then we also have some cooling lines and stuff here for our oil cooler. So all that's kind of competing for space there. So we went ahead and removed that. So those two components being removed and kind of being in our, going to be in the way clearance-wise, we've decided to go ahead and remove everything on the front of this engine, and we will be putting a aftermarket accessory drive on. We're still looking at a couple of options there for that. I kind of got a good idea of what I want to do but we haven't finalized that with our customer just yet. So we're kind of working on that. Again, the bearings and stuff was already in our hubs. They're super simple to install, so we didn't really, there's no sense in videoing all that. The rear, the transmission, we do have the rear tail housing off. We have to order a couple of bearings to replace inside the new one, so we're waiting on those. We've got that covered up with plastic. It looks like our headers, everything is going to clear pretty well there. At first glance, they may be hanging a little bit low, and we're not 100% sure if the O2 sensor there will clear the body. So we'll determine all of that once we set the body down onto this chassis. We did go ahead out back and mount the fuel cell, which is simple, like 8 bolts. The frame's already threaded for those bolts, so 8 3/8 bolts to hold that into place, and so we can kind of get a good idea of just kind of glancing at how we're going to do our exhaust system and how we're going to plumb our fuel system. So everything, that's kind of where we're at this moment. We're going to try to go ahead and get all this wrapped up here. We're waiting on our bearings. Once we get those in, we'll get that installed, put the transmission back together, then we'll set it down. We should be ready to put a body back on. So we come back next episode, that's what we'll be doing. We'll be setting the body back down on this chassis. So until then, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notifications button to be notified for new videos, and check out our merch store. New merch going up here this week, I do believe. So thanks again.